This video is going to be for parent. Why believe and I think that it's so important in order for us to build a relationship with our children. One of the key reasons why sometimes we kind of like miss what we're supposed to be doing, or most of the time why we end up to fall out with our children, because we're not getting to know who we're raising. We're not taking our time to study who we're raising. We're focusing on the end result. We're focusing on how we want them to come across with us. We're focusing on the things that we want to achieve at the end of the day, but we're not looking at the person right in front of us. So most times we get carried away and start seeking for our friends for advice on how we should parent our children. We start going out there to start listening to people with different advice. I would like to tell you something, right? You see, one thing with life, nobody can raise your child except you. It's like, how do I put it now? You know your child. You are the one that is raising your child. You are the one that know the type of food your child likes. You are the one that know what can trigger your child to get angry. Getting along with our children, or the house is just getting really really intense, and say we like, probably like you notice as a parent that the communication is not flowing anymore, or our child seems to be drifting away from us. It's so important for you to work on yourself, because one thing that I've noticed, when we don't have emotional control, we will not be able to come across with other people in a way that we are not coming across very hard, or very very controlling, or very very intimidating. So the same thing with children. Children are very very emotional as well, so it's also very good when they're very fragile. So it's good when you also approach them in a way that you show that you also care, in as much as you're firm as a parent. So it's so important. So it's just like, for example, maybe your friend tells you, for example, that, or like, for example, maybe you go to your friend. Let's just say, my husband have not been sleeping at home for some time, but you haven't sat down to speak to your husband and ask your husband what's going on. What are the reasons why that you've noticed a certain type of movement in the house, like he has not been sleeping at home, and things seems to be like changing between both of you from your own observation, right? If you're not speaking to the person that you're living with, and you go outside and speak to your friend because you're thinking that your friend is in a better position to tell you, but you forgot that at the first time when you guys met up together, it was really between both of you. There were no third party when both of you knew each other. So at the end of the day, when something as well is also going wrong, you should also sit down with your husband, no matter, regardless of how your husband is going to react. Because most of the time, why we're not getting our word as well when it comes to even our partner, or whoever that we're sharing life with, is because of we're not also listening to our own attitude, our own behavior, of the way we're coming across. Because nobody wants a person to come to them and say and question them coming from a place of authority. So, but when you come in authority form, you kind of trigger something in the other person that make the other person feel very very kind of like very intimidating. I would like to say kind of like intimidating. So that can also trigger something else that will prevent the person from giving you what you're looking for, from preventing that person from actually sitting down with you and talking to you. So the same thing applies to a child. When you are trying to speak to a child, same thing, and the child is not paying you attention, check around, see what was the distraction, and just look if maybe that time it's not even the right time. It's like going to the doctor and you're telling the doctor that, doctor, I think I'm having some pain on my tummy. The doctor is not going to be telling you that, okay, I did have a pain last week and I treated it with some paracetamol. Obviously, the doctor want to know what's your problem, and they want to know how it started, how long it started, and have you be feeling, and they want to be able to examine it to understand how they can be able to treat you. The same thing applies to our children. So in life, when you don't take your time to study your child and understand what they need, and what the type of things that you have noticed that maybe they probably lacking, or what is making them feel having an attitude problem, or if you don't take your time to study to understand what is creating that aggressive behavior, or what is triggering them to start acting, not concentrating in school, or not concentrating in reading, if you don't take your time to study why they're not concentrating in anything, in any area that you're dealing with them. It can be maybe you're trying to get them to bed and they're not wanting to go to bed. So but you have to take your time to understand your child, because if you don't take your time to understand your child, you taking advice from other people it probably not even going to work, because at the end of the day, you need to know who you're treating. You need to know your child. So the same thing applies to when you go to your doctor, that your doctor is not going to treat you coming from the pain that he or she had, but they're going to be treating you coming from what is wrong with you, and they want to understand how they can be able to help you coming from you as a person. So the same thing applies to our children. Anyway, I hope I got you inspired. Have a wonderful day.